Hello, welcome to episode 242 of the Craft House Magic podcast. My name's Ellie and I'm coming to you from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and today is the 9th of March. So welcome everybody. I hope you've all had a lovely crafty week since the last time I've spoken to you, and I'm here to share all the things that I've been making in the last 7 days. So today we have some knitting, some crochet, some sewing, I have a gadget, I have a question for the Ask Me Anything section, and also some information on my shop update. There's a little appearance from Jensen at the end of the podcast wearing something that I've sewn this week. So we've got a few Makalongs going on in the Ravelry group and on Instagram. They are Craft 20 a Day and the Retro Mail 2023. Details for those are in the description bar down below. And I've got 2 winners for the Craft House Magic Baby Makes 2023 Makalong. And they are Christine and Cindy. So I have messaged you either on Instagram or Ravelry, depending on how you entered. So make sure you check your messages. So let's get on with the knitting, shall we? I am so excited this week. So this item is actually knitted with the yarn clubs for this year, for the January and February, to show you what they look like together. So if you haven't got your January or February yarn clubs yet, skip to the next section using the progress bar at the bottom of the screen. You should have got it because they were posted about 3 weeks ago, but if you haven't for any reason, make sure you skip along. So I've got a beautiful new cowl or stroke shawl that Adam's mum's knitted. So I got her to knit me a sample out of these yarns, and she has knitted this gorgeous cowl. Now this is the Batad cowl or shawl by Stephen West. I'm not quite sure what to call it because it's sort of halfway between. I looked up Batad, and it is a village that's in the Philippines that has got these like rice fields, so they've got ridges around the hills where the rice is grown, and that's why it's called Batad. I thought that's brilliant. I love, 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 love this pattern. I've had my eye on it for a while, and then I thought that would be really good to show a sample of a 2-colour sort of wrap or shawl or cowl. So I designed the yarn clubs this year to go into pairs. So January and February are designed to go together, and March and April are designed to go together. I haven't actually taken the March and April yarn clubs down from the website yet. I'll give you until Monday, but I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end of the podcast in the shop update section. So these are the January, February colours, and this is knitted in some merino and nylon with 1 skein of each colour. Now, you'd think that the darker pink colour wouldn't use very much at all, but actually there was about 27 grams left out of 100 grams skein, so it did use quite a lot of yarn. And the lighter colour, there was 9 grams left out of 100 grams skein, so there was plenty left, and it doesn't leave you plain yarn chicken too much, at least when you've got 425 metres to 100 grams in the yarn that I sell anyway. So these colours are obviously music from the movies themed. So this lighter one here, which has got splashes of light turquoise, dark turquoise, darker and lighter pink and grey in there, is called A View to a Kill, and that's a Duran Duran song, and it's obviously named after the same title as the movie, which is a James Bond film. And then we've got this pink with a little bit of red and blue in there as well to go with it, and that one is called Jewel of the Nile, named after the film as well, but there's also a song that went with it. That's what they're inspired by. Now this cowl, shawl, or whatever you call it, I haven't actually blocked it because I really liked the garter stitch texture of it like it is, so I'm going to leave it unblocked. But if you did block it, you'd probably get it to drape nicer over your shoulder if you're going to wear it like that. I'll pop a picture here of how Stephen suggests you wear it when it's sort of fully blocked, and you can wear it sort of draped right over one arm. But I preferred to wear it more like a cowl, I think. But I'll show you the back and the front of it a little bit better first. So one side is very narrow and one side goes out really wide. Now most of this is in knit, and there's only 1 row per section that is actually purl, so there's a lot of just plain knitting in this, and obviously short rows, so it's a nice easy knit. But I thought I'd show you how I wear it. So you could wear it like this, like I would with my shawls, which I think is lovely as well. So you can pop it to one side a little bit if you want to see the side, or actually you could sort of wear it like a cape, which keeps your back a little bit warmer, and have the shorter section, the narrowest section at the front, and wear it like that. Keeps your shoulders nice and warm. So I'd obviously put it a little bit straighter than I've got it, but it's hard to see sort of on the camera. But I just think this is a really versatile pattern to wear. I think I'd probably wear it either sort of on the side, or so that the big bits at the front more, just because I tend to wear it with a coat, and obviously my neck is warmer then. But if you don't have your coat on, you can move it around where you need to have the warmth, which is really good. So I absolutely love it. It is one of my favourite things. And I always say this when I've got a new shawl or cowl. So I'd need to give it a good block really if I was going to wear it the same way as the one in the picture, because it needs sort of stretching out a little bit. But you could wear it sort of like this. But I think I'd wear it a bit more casually, rather than over one shoulder. But I'm going to leave it on, I think, because it's a little bit chilly today. We've got lots of snow in the UK, so it's a little bit cold at the moment. So there we go. That is the Batad wrap shawl cowl thing. Cozy knit. So the next section I've got is my crochet section, and I am very excited to show you that I've done quite a bit more on my Ziggy Interrupted. So I've done 2 more sections of the squares, which I'm really pleased about. So that is all the squares done, and I've started doing the plain, well, I've started doing the zigzag bit that's in between. So you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections of squares, and now I'm doing the bits in between. So I've got that distance twice to finish off the wrap, and then it's all done. But I'm feeling like the zigzag bit is a little bit quicker than the rest of the squares, because you've got to sew in the ends as you go and then join those panels together. But I absolutely love it, and it's coming along really nicely. I don't think I'm going to get it finished for the East Anglian Yarn Festival, which is on the 18th and 19th of March, but I may get close, so we shall see. At least I've made a decent dent on the project before I've had the yarn a year, which I don't think is too bad to have yarn a year before you've actually finished using it. I've got yarn in my stash that's been there considerably longer than a year. So I've used 4 different yarns for this project, 2 of which are from Ducky Darlings, these 2 darker purple ones, and they're both called Poison on 2 different bases. I've got Love Letter by the Camel's Yarn, which is this lighter one, and then the one in the middle here is Snail's Pace by Woolen Witch, and I use 4 colours instead of 5 like it said in the pattern, but I've just changed around the plan of what you do inside and outside on these little squares, just so that it balances the colour out nicely. And then I'm trying to fade the colours on the actual zigzag bit. So I started with Love Letter, Snail's Pace, Poison the lighter version, Poison the darker version, and then I faded back into the lighter Poison, then the Snail's Pace and Love Letter, and then I've gone from Love Letter to Snail's Pace and back into the darkers, and then in the lighter again. So I'm trying to sort of fade it rather than it having sort of just random stripes, if that makes sense. And I've started here on the lighter coloured Poison as well, so I'm carrying on with that sort of plan, and hopefully with any luck I'll get it finished at least before the end of the month, fingers crossed. So that is that project on the go. Reasonable amount of progress, I think. and my next section is sewing. And I wanted to sew something for Jensen. My lovely friend Helen had gifted me some gorgeous fabric a little while ago, and I thought I will use some of that fabric to try out a t-shirt pattern I bought from Sew Over It. So this is the Hebden t-shirt pattern from Sew Over It, and the children's size one goes from 0 to 6 years, but there is an adult one as well, so you could have matching t-shirts. I'm thinking that Adam and Jensen could have matching t-shirts as well in this pattern, because I really like a raglan t-shirt. The pattern actually is a long sleeve, but I just eyeballed the length that I wanted to make him. I wanted to make it slightly longer than just a normal short sleeve, just to keep his arms covered in the summer so that the sun doesn't burn him too much. Obviously I'll put sun cream on as well, but just wanted the sleeve to be a little bit longer. So we shall see what it looks like him as to whether that's the sort of length that I was going for. We shall see. So the size that I've done is the 18 to 24 months, but this does go from 0 to 6 years, so it will last a while if you do have the pattern. So you obviously have the pieces for the arms and then a piece for the front and back, so it's a 5-piece pattern with the neckband as well. It's just standard application of the neckband in here, but there was one thing I did notice with that pattern, at least with the version that I've got that I bought possibly about 6 months ago, I think. The actual pattern piece for the neckband was about half the length that I needed to go into the neckband for this, so I actually ended up cutting 2 because I'd already cut one. I thought I'll just cut 2, and then I've got 2 seam lines here, and I thought it really doesn't matter, no one's going to notice that I've got 2 seam lines on the neckband. But I've actually marked on the piece now to cut on the fold rather than just cutting a shorter piece or 2 smaller ones. But just do make a note of that. I don't know whether they've got an updated version that I haven't seen an email for, but if you have got one that you downloaded 6 months ago, make sure that you take note that the neckband piece is a bit small and it needs to be a little bit bigger to fit in here. So what I did is I measured the neck hole, and I know that normally it's about 75% of the circumference of a neckline that the neckband length has to be, and I just worked out that it was way too small and just cut 2 pieces instead. But it's come up really nicely, I think, and I really like the fact that you can do like a really nice contrast sleeve and it looked really professional with this sort of raglan style sleeve. So this fabric has got little aliens on. I just thought that was really cute, and thank you ever so much, Helen, for gifting it to me to make Jensen something. And this yellow I think looks lovely and bright and is going to be ideal for summer, because we're coming up to spring now. We need summer holiday clothes. So we shall see at the end of the podcast how that fits on Jensen. So Jensen is nearly 16 months old, so the pattern, the size I cut out is 18 to 24 months, so it should be a bit big, but we shall see. So I did the bigger size obviously because coming on the summer I want it to fit him then rather than now being short sleeved. I just used my overlocker to join the pieces together. I did use a grey thread because of the main body fabric, but I couldn't be bothered to change the thread just for the neckline, and I don't think it shows when he's got it on, so hopefully that'll fit nicely. So now I'm onto the gadget section. Now, I have a gadget that I'm not very impressed with, but I thought I'd show it you anyway because then you'll avoid buying it. Or if you do find it useful, please let me know how you use it to see if you can get it to work better than I can. So I purchased a thread cutter ring thinking, ooh, that might be useful. If you're doing some hand sewing or maybe doing some knitting, I can use it to cut my threads or the yarn from a project that I'm doing, and it just be quite handy and I don't have to fiddle around with drop-in snips or it. But I find it's a little bit fiddly and I don't find it very sharp. I purchased this from Amazon, but I don't find it particularly good at all. I've worn it on several different fingers and I just don't seem to get on with it very well. So that is the terrible gadget for today. Normally they will be actually useful gadgets, but sometimes it's nice to have a warning that maybe a gadget isn't as useful as you might think it is. So let me know what you think. So now I've got the Ask Me Anything section. So I've got a question off Alison. Now Alison says, I often slip the first stitch of a row to give a nice edge. Now I do tend to do that on heel flap and gussets for socks because it makes it easier to pick up the stitches, and also it looks quite neat as well. So Alison goes on to say, if you do this on a cardigan, how often do you need to pick up for the edge, and does it change the pattern's recommended number of stitches, and would it be better just to knit the edge stitch if you're going to pick up the stitches anyway? You may get a slightly neater edge, and it probably is a little bit easier to pick up the stitches, but you might have an issue picking up enough stitches at the right ratio as you're going along, because if you've slipped one stitch, which will be every other row, if you slip at the beginning of the row, you'll have one stitch for 2 rows of knitting. So if you've got 4 rows of knitting, you'll have 2 sort of slip stitches on the edge of your work, and if it says to pick up 3 stitches for every 4 rows, you might have a bit of difficulty picking them up. So you pick up 3 stitches on 3 rows and then just miss a row if you're picking 3 of every 4 rows up. But if you've only got those 2 stitches and you've got to pick up 3 stitches along those 4 rows, you've got these 2 sort of holes to pick up in. You can pick up one in this hole, and then it's difficult to pick up 2 stitches consecutively in the same gap. So you could pick up 1 stitch here and then do a backwards E-cast on, and then pick up another stitch on here, and then you'd be picking up 3 stitches for every 4 rows. So it might work out a little bit difficult to get the right amount of stitches per rows. So I'd always stick to the amount of stitches that they suggest to pick up if you can, because they've worked out the gauge difference between the rows of the cardigan and the stitches of the cardigan you're picking up for the band. You've got half as many gaps to pick up stitches as you would rows if you do that method. So it might be just easier to carry on with not slipping the beginning stitch because of that difference in pickup ratio. There is a really good tutorial by Suzanne Bryan about picking up stitches on a button band, and talking about your sort of gauge on the button band compared to your row gauge, and it really goes through it really well. So I will pop a link to that in the description bar down below, hopefully give you some help on that one. And it's important to look at the difference between the row gauge on the main body of the cardigan compared to the button band, and she addresses it quite nicely. So I'll pop a link to that in the description bar down below. So I hope that answers your question, Alison. Now we're on to the shop update section. So first of all, I wanted to talk about yarn clubs. So I'm giving you a little bit longer this month to purchase the March yarn clubs. So those will be open till Monday morning. I'm taking them down on early at 9 o'clock on the 13th. So make sure you've purchased before then. Those will be shipped on the 17th of March. And those are the March yarn clubs, including the music from the movies sock sets, or they're also designed for shawls as well, like this one. So March and April are designed to go together. You can purchase them together, or if you purchase the March one, you can buy a single skein of it, and then if you like it, in April I'll also be listing the April yarn clubs on their own. You can then purchase the April one as well. So the music from the movies action adventure edition is available from sort of a 70-gram sock set. You can buy single skeins of merino or MCN, or you can buy the bigger sock sets as well. And you've got the option to buy March and April together if you want to. That'll save on postage. The mixtape minis, they are in 10-gram and 20-gram minis in a range of different bases, and they go from about £13 and upwards. The smaller sock sets start at £15. They'll be ideal for blankets, the mixtape minis, or just small projects, because those 5 mini skeins are designed to go together. So the next April yarn clubs will be available on the 24th of March. The listings at the moment, I've listed the combined listings of March and April as well. So if you wanted to buy them 2 together, they will all be shipped when the April clubs are ready to be shipped. So we've got some new yarn to go in the shop this week. We've got 5 little mini skeins that were part of the mixtape minis from last year. So we've got West End Girls, which is like a blue and a pink. We've got Here I Go Again, which is a very pale green. Like a Prayer, which is different tones of pink. We've got Another Day in Paradise, which is different tones of blue and a little bit of green in there. And then we've got Sweet Home Alabama, which is a tonal pink. They're all pastel colours, they're designed to go together. So those are from last year's Mixtape Minis Yarn Club, but they'll be released in the shop. So you can purchase those in my main 4 different bases in 20-gram minis. The Mixtape Minis, when you buy the actual yarn clubs as they come out, they're available in 10-gram minis as well, but they're only available from these remix volumes in 20 grams. So if you want to get the 10-gram version, you need to buy the mystery yarn clubs. So I just wanted to remind everybody that I'm going to the East Anglian Yarn Festival on the 18th and 19th of March. It is at the Norfolk Showground, so a much bigger venue this time, so I'm really excited to see you all. Adam and Jensen will be with me, so you can come and say hello to him. I'm sure he'll be very pleased to see everybody because he loves people. So it'll be lovely to see everybody. I'm also going to the knit night on the Friday night, which is the 17th of March, on my own, so hopefully I'll know a few people already at the knit night, but it'll be lovely to chat to new people anyway. So if you're going, do come and say hello to me. It'll be lovely to meet you. So don't forget, we've got a discount code for you and me, Mabel. That is CraftHouse10, and Sally has got some brilliant range of quilters cottons and jerseys and all sorts of sewy bits and bobs on her website, so do go and have a look there. That code will work until the end of May. So now over to you, Jensen, in your new little t-shirt.
Have you got your t-shirt on, Jensen? Oh, lovely. We had planned to do a catwalk, but we're crawling instead. So what do you think? Oh, right. So I think it does look about the perfect fit for now, to be honest. But obviously when he gets a bit older, his tummy will probably slim down once he starts walking a bit more on his own. And I think the length of it will last him a little while at least. Hopefully he'll keep still long enough to be able to see it. What do you think, Jensen? He was looking at it. I think he likes the colour yellow. Yeah, yellow. Yellow. Can you say yellow?
Say yellow.
Say yellow. Brilliant. I think it's quite a good fit. I think it'll last him a little while. His sleeves are nice and sort of long for a short sleeve t-shirt. I did cut the pattern to my own sort of choice of sleeve length though, rather than going with the pattern length, which was full length. But there we go. Thank you very much, Jensen.
So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I shall see you in the next episode. Bye!